And a while back, I was looking for some cool stuff on YouTube, as a lot of us are doing at the moment, looking for something to inspire me in my training. So early morning, 5 o'clock, wondering what I'm doing up at that time, on the way to the dojo, scrolling through, doing safely scrolling through phone and so on, wanting to find something to get me going for the morning. And I find this thing called KenFu TV. Now, let's be honest, the host of KenFu TV, Ken Sensei, he kind of looks dodgy. I got to be honest about that. I'm going to say that, there was some strange things going on. But I gave his podcast a listen. I gave his channel a go, and I have not looked back. I have absolutely found it a complete source of motivation, inspiration. If you like what I do here, you really want to check out KenFu TV on YouTube, and he's going to be putting some stuff up on the new Bujin TV platform, and I've learned a lot of really cool things about him from other people in actual fact, which I will surprise him with. So guys, please welcome Ken Knight of KenFu TV. Good to have you, brother.
Hey, brother. Thanks you for having me.
Right at the top. Love what you're putting out. It's wonderful to meet someone and to see a practitioner who's just out there doing it. You come off in a way that is really refreshing, and that you don't pretend to be something you're not. You put some fantastic stuff out, and I love not only the depth of what you put out, but also the breadth of it too. You cover a lot of really, really cool stuff. Just for those people who don't know what KenFu TV, and soon you guys need to get on there, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about what KenFu TV is, and how you've gotten to this place, man?
Sure. First, thank you. I really appreciate what you said. That was really nice and unnecessary, but I appreciate it. So yeah, I'm Ken. I do KenFu TV, and it started off as, I joked as a kid that I didn't have to do kung fu because I could do kenfu, and so that was just a great fun thing to do. But fast forward 2 years later, after I started the martial arts and then started training karate, later added some eskrima, some jiu-jitsu, different things, and realized that I was developing my own kenfu. That I just kind of joke about that being kind of my thing. Now it's not a thing I can teach, right? Because we all have our own thing. It's us. So kenfu is what I do because I do it. And so the YouTube channel started as just a way for me to just kind of talk out my thoughts and also recognize my mortality and that I won't always be around. It kind of helps me journal things that I think about, but also leave things for my students and friends and family. And that was kind of the original intent. And now I've met a lot of really great people like yourself and a number of people that we've talked about and talked with. And it's really grown into something really cool because I've gotten to meet so many cool people doing this and more every day. People leaving comments and talking to new people. Just a really, really cool thing.
How was it for you? One of the things we've discussed as friends is the idea of what is it, imposter syndrome. How was it for you, man? Like, you've been putting stuff out for quite a bit longer than I have. How was that in the initial? Just, martial arts, man, let's be honest, it's a community of old housewives that like nothing more than to gossip. So how has that been for you?
It's been pretty interesting because we have talked about that. The idea that, who am I, right? Who am I and why should people care? And I still struggle with that because, who am I? Maybe I can answer that question. Why should people care? I struggle to answer that question, but people subscribe, people listen, people watch, whatever. And that's really cool. When I started, I didn't want to do... I come from a tech background. I have an understanding of how algorithms work and all the stuff that could make YouTube or things like that work. And I hate all of them, right? I don't want to ride trends. I don't want to go copy the latest thing that people are doing or talk about the thing that's going on that is going to rocket me to the top of the search results. I just want to talk about the things that are on my mind. And so that's helped. It's helped a lot because I'm not just trying to talk. If when I click on the camera and I flip on a mic, I'm talking because I have something to say. I still struggle with the whole why do people watch this stuff? Why are people doing this? Because I'm aware of so many people, and every day I become aware of more people who I look up to, who inspire me. And when I think about those people, I think, why would you look at me when you could look at them? And so sometimes I just try to point them that way. I've done some different videos pointing to other stuff. And maybe if people are looking at me, then maybe that's the way they find some of this other stuff. We share a love of all kinds of nerdy things, including movies and TV. And one of the things that's the most frustrating about that is when somebody remakes something that you love. And then we feel like it got just
So
ruined.
true. So true.
But I always have to remind myself that thing that we feel like was a ruined version of something better might be the thing that gets those people to know about the one that we like. Or even at least just give us the ability to communicate. While we might not be talking the exact same Karate Kid, we might have the same. We can now link on it, and maybe you end up seeing the old one, and I see the new one, and now we have a new way to talk. Same thing for books. People go, "Wow, why do you watch Game of Thrones? Why do you watch this? You should go read the books." Well, don't hate on the show that's probably making a lot of people go read the books that you love. Just because they started with the show doesn't mean that they won't get to the books because of it.
Excellent. Yeah, good point. I mean, it's kind of a fine line at times, I think. One of the things that came across really strongly in your channel is one that, how dedicated a martial artist you are, the kind of respect you have for the people that who are being instructors and your family and people that have influenced you. And I think it's a fine line sometimes. I know we can get into this kind of self-depreciating thing. One of the things that I struggle with as a martial artist is when I do stuff, I have this innate ability to try and put people in front of me to shield myself from any kind of, I have this thing where how can I involve as many people as possible? And like my wife, she often says...
So is it kind of like you're trying to be an invisible sensei sometime?
Strangely, yeah. Well, and they're like, it's exactly that. Like the thing is the reason I call my podcast Invisible Sensei is because I think we all have exactly what you're talking about. We all have this voice in ourselves that tells us what's right, what's wrong, what's in, what's out, what's good, what's bad. And I think that's why I enjoy your stuff so much, man, because like I was just talking about, one of my favorite ones that you've done is what you learned from your sensei. It was one of my favorite ones because just the way in which the respect that you paid him. Another one which I've really enjoyed is Who Moved My Cheese? Who moved the cheese?
Who moved my cheese? Yeah.
Who moved my cheese?
Now, my cheese?
And it's led me to look at the stuff that I'm exposing myself to and the stuff that I'm reading in martial arts, because I'm really, like if you look, I've got a stack of books here and they're all biographies of different Okinawan or different karate masters. And I think that stuff is cool, but you've made me think about, I need to be reading something other than martial arts to become a better martial artist.
Oh, yes. I believe that. I believe that's absolutely true. Especially things that make us think about being people.
So you come across as vulnerable, man. That's one of the things which is most appealing. How have you gotten to a point in your life where you can openly be vulnerable? Like you don't make any huge, you talk about things as they relate to you. Who's the kind of people that have influenced you to be that way, to show that kind of vulnerability? Where's that strength come from?
Interesting. That's a really cool question. I definitely credit it to the martial arts in general. Who I am, and I was always a really shy person. I was not. I had a lot of acquaintances, a lot of people around me, but not a lot of friends. And that was it was a hard thing for me to do a lot of that stuff. And the martial arts forced me to be in places where I had to at least feign confidence when to get through things, until I could establish an idea of the things about myself that I can be confident in. And then to rely on those things and sometimes borrow confidence from those things in order to feel comfortable in a situation where I'm not comfortable. but there have definitely been, when it comes to my martial arts instructors, that's something that I've seen a lot in the people that I've trained with, is exactly that idea that I am who I am, and I'm going to do the best that I can. And meanwhile, people like me on the outside are looking like, yeah, but you're incredible though. But it never came across that way. They didn't hold themselves that way, and because they didn't hold themselves that way, I don't hold myself that way. Certainly doesn't think that I mean. Certainly doesn't mean that I think that I'm incredible, because I don't believe that. I believe that I'm capable, and that's good enough.
You in your channel, you talk a lot about, you reference people like Funakoshi, Motobu, all those Choki Motobu, all these different people that have influenced your karate. Were they sort of things that you kind of came to, or were there things that your different instructors encouraged? Were they doing that, or is it something you've come to yourself?
There was a little both for sure. My karate instructor would drop a lot of different history into the classes. So when we'd be talking, if it was relevant or appropriate, he would just mention something about, this time with Sakagawa and these different. He just mentioned a period of time or something, like, hey, yeah. Sometimes we do, even simple things like, hey, how come all the martial arts are right-handed? And he goes, cool. If you go back far enough, this was the hand that was used for toilet paper, and the other one was not. So you just weren't left-handed because of the period of time. It was just really bad juju to use your left hand for stuff. Yeah, and that's just it. So it would be things like that, or he would mention Funakoshi, his instructor in the karate, Soke Housel. He had a newsletter, and he would always, I think it always ended, every newsletter ended with, Funakoshi let the cat out of the bag. He helped the world know about karate, and basically was telling us that we should go tell people about karate too. Like, we shouldn't hide it anymore. We should share it because we love it. And that was kind of how I started to know the name Funakoshi, which made me find some of his books. And my sensei had some books that he would recommend or keep on the shelf in the dojo, and so slowly I started collecting some, and those led to others, and those led to others. And especially right now in the whole practical karate, you got your Ian Abernathy and Patrick McCarthy and different people, and they're obviously referencing books and people. Patrick McCarthy has such an incredible wealth of knowledge of the history, and so some of the books that I've read about Motobu were, translated or written by Patrick McCarthy. Then you've got people like Abernathy talking about Motobu and his influence in the sphere. And you put those together, like, okay, this guy's talking about this. I want to go read more about that. And then you go find that the author and person in charge of putting this stuff together, him and his wife, also is an incredible practical martial artist, kind of opened up all kinds of different doors for me.
We've gone deep, man. We've gone deep. We've gone deep. What are you working on your training at the moment?
Which art? No.
Whoa.
So,
whoa. Hold on, let's back the truck up, man. Kim says, so, which art? Which defensive discipline were you speaking of, young man?